I'm Jett Allen. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator. I'm non-binary, use they, them pronouns, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles. Really excited to be here. Thanks for coming. Thanks to The Believer for inviting me. You may have seen my work on Medium. You may have seen it in Daily Shouts. You know, I'm a little bit of a late bloomer when it comes to drawing comics. You know, I've always loved comics, and I never thought I had the talent to draw them. And then one day I just said, I'm going to try to do this. And then a couple of years later, I published my first comic. And then a couple of years after that, I'm here with you. So my message to y'all tonight is that it's never too late. Everyone has a unique drawing style and a story to tell. So don't let anyone discourage you from drawing comics. Now, even though I didn't draw comics until a couple of years ago, I did doodle a lot in class, like I'm sure many of you did. And, you know, when we doodle, people don't really think of that as drawing, probably because it's something that you get in trouble for. But the way I see it, I think that I doodled because I just wanted to be somewhere else. And that's kind of what drawing means to me. It's a way to go places in my mind or in my imagination. And you don't need any fancy tools to do it. You just need a pencil. As someone that draws memoir comics, my memory is terrible. Sometimes I just feel like it's a murky soup where I don't even know where to start. Drawing is actually how I remember things. It kind of reveals details that I didn't even know in my conscious mind were part of that memory. So it's part of recovering the memories is doing the actual drawing. For me, a lot of my memoir comics don't start with a story, but they start with images. For this one, it started out with a memory I had of being on the beach and putting my toes in the sand and riding the waves. And it was a time where I felt really scared about my future. And from there, I kind of explored that memory and was able to expand the comic. But this is all to say that kind of images can be a starting point to narrative. And we'll get to the exercise soon, but before we do, I want to share a few tips. One is draw how it feels. I think when we draw memoir comics, we want everything to be accurate, maybe photorealistic. I tend to draw emotionally. So this is from a comic I wrote about my house when I was a kid. And on the left, you'll see, on the bottom left panel, you'll see that the counter is kind of tilted. And I drew it that way because I wanted to convey the ground shifting underneath me when I was looking into this cup. On the right, you'll see I was trying to draw how my basement was flooded. And I decided to draw that as a giant ocean with stuff that I remembered being in that basement under there. But obviously this isn't photorealistic, so don't worry about things like perspective, just draw how it comes out. Since we're gonna be kind of drawing a lot of the same place, it's good to think about closeness versus distance. So you can draw things as you saw them when you were in the space. So this is the door, the inside of my bedroom door. Or you could draw things from outside of yourself from far away. So this is me lugging a scooter up several flights of stairs. And now we're getting to the exercise where we're gonna draw our memory maps. And a memory map to me is about exploring a place from our past through our senses. So It's kind of meant to be kind of a warm up to drawing a memoir comic to get ideas going about places you've been. So there are going to be 6 prompts, and you can draw the panels ahead of time. You can draw them messy, like you'll see on the left, or you could draw them very neat. I would leave space between the panels in case you want to keep adding to your map after the exercise is done. Or you don't even need panels, or you could draw them as you go. It's really up to you. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to draw panels ahead of time. Okay. You continue working on your panels. The next step is I'm going to have you list 6 places from your past that you'd like to visit. So make sure you feel safe visiting these places right now. And by past, it could mean the recent past. So maybe somewhere you used to go before the pandemic. It could be from a really long time ago, like your childhood bedroom. So I'll give you some time to write those places. Okay, once you have your places, I'm gonna take this dice, I'm gonna roll it. Rolled 1. That means you have the option of choosing the first place on your list, or if that doesn't feel right to you, you can go with something else. I just like to not make all the decisions myself about where I'm gonna go. Right now I'm going to stop the screen share. And first of all, I want you all to take a deep breath. And close your eyes. Travel to that place you have in mind. Now open your eyes and draw what you see. And you have 4 minutes. Okay, start wrapping up this panel. My lines are a little shaky because I'm nervous. Okay. So you're in your place. Is there a smell in the air? Describe it. Can you draw it? For this, you'll have 2 minutes.
We have a question in the chat, if that's okay.
Oh.
A couple of folks, I think some folks are struggling. Like, how would you convey smell in comics?
Yeah, so I kind of threw this in because it is a little tricky, but smell is so important to memory. I think some ways you can do it is just lines. Very abstractly, you could use words. Words are part of comics, or you could draw kind of the source of the smell. If smell is too difficult, you could put things that you hear in there if that would be easier for you. It was meant to be a little bit of a stretch of the imagination to get you thinking differently. This is the second panel still, which we're actually at time for. So for the next panel, I want you to walk around this place, just kind of look around, see what's there. Find an object, touch it or hold it, and now draw it. And you have 3 minutes. Okay, I would wrap this up, and you will have time at the end to kind of put finishing touches, so don't worry. So you're in your place. For the fourth panel, draw a person that you may find in this place. And think about, you know, what might they say? What do they like? What do they dislike? For the last three, you'll have a little more time. So for this, you'll have 6 minutes. Okay, we're close to wrapping this one up, and okay. So for the next panel, I want you to think about something that happened in this place. And it could be really memorable event, or it could just be something you used to do there. And for this one, you also have 6 minutes. Okay. So almost time. So let's wrap up where you are. And for the last panel, you'll be drawing yourself in this place. It could be yourself at that time or yourself now. If you don't feel comfortable drawing yourself, you can draw a cat, yourself as a cat or a character of some kind. And if somewhere along the way you lost track of one of the panels, they're all in the chat. So you can always refer back to that. Okay, your journey has ended, but I'm gonna give you all just an extra minute if you wanna add stuff or go back to something that you didn't have time for. The timed exercises are kind of just to get you to not overthink things, because I can end up overthinking things a lot when I start drawing. So hopefully this has generated some ideas for you that you can elaborate on later. June, I don't believe that you're unskilled. Everyone can draw. That's, if anything, please know that we all draw and write when we're kids, and you can do it. Okay, I think that it's time. I love to see your art. If you'd like to share right now, you can raise your hand with the Zoom button, or you could do it the old-fashioned way.
Hi.
Hi.
Mine about my grandma's house in Oregon. So
Wow.
here's her house. There's a little Christmas tree poking out the window. And I'm like transfixed by the smell of it. And there were a lot of pine cones. And this is what I thought of someone I might meet there. It's basically like a sassy kind of personality. She's like, I like apples. I don't like friends. I don't like you. I love being bossy. You're a weirdo, haha. And I'm like, oh. And I loved it there. We always spent holidays at my grandma's house, and I couldn't think of anything else to say, so I just said, yay.
I love all of the characters, and I'd love to see a comic about your grandma's house. It's amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Hi. I don't know if my video is on, but I did mine digitally, so I'll just hold it up.
Great.
I actually can't see my video, so I oh, here we go.
Thank you.
So I did it about my friend's basement from like elementary school. So they had a bunch of like really old Legos, and we would play with them a lot. So I just kind of focused on that environment, which was pretty fun for me. I liked the smell one. It smelled moist, so I drew a bunch of worms in the ceiling. I'm pretty sure there weren't worms in the ceiling, but that's just kind of what happened. So yeah.
It's great. Beautiful lines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. So I drew the student residence where I went to school in France. It was a big orange building, weird. The second is me I had much longer hair at the time. I was dressing differently. It's like me walking down the street and it smells like spring. The third panel is me putting my second piercing because I had stopped wearing it for a while. The fourth is my best friend, who's very proud of me for putting my second piercing back in and was really excited to hear it because it symbolized all sorts of things. And it's her carrying a pack of cigarettes at her door, and we're going out. She's going to go smoke, and I'm not going to. The fourth is us sitting in front of the residence, and she's smoking and we're having tea. She stopped smoking. And the sixth is us both living in different places. So there's like kind of a dotted line, looking at the place that we used to live and thinking about our lives now and how much it's affected us.
Wow. I love that. And I love how it's a story about you and your friend. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Hello.
Hello. This is the first panel is just the whole frame. It's just basically kind of like Santa Fe, New Mexico. You know, kind of contrast, snow on the mountains, desert below, canyons. And then second frame is just this close up of the holding a pine cone, and that's kind of like symbolizing the smell. This is the character that is there. So basically, he's just basically saying the high country here is a beautiful place. The cool, fresh air smells of pine. And just the last one, just like a totally different place. This is Boston, Massachusetts. You know, walking down the Commonwealth Avenue, heading west. Kind of the sun coming through the trees. Yeah, along that mall.
Yeah, I love the sparseness, and the first panels remind me of a Western.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Becky, and I'm from Berkeley, California, but I'm originally from New York. So the place that I chose to draw about was the playground where I used to hang out when I was a toddler. So the first panel is just the whole playground on 95th Street. There's me and my friend Emily and our mothers, who also were friends. And it was in the summer, so it smelled like green, humid New York air and the buzzing sound of cicadas. And we would frequently get bomb pops from Mr. Softy that were pretty drippy and disgusting. That was just Emily, my friend. We got to jump through the sprinkler, which I thought was challenging to render. And we're both turning 50 this year, and we met in the playground 49 years ago. So that's just sort of a overview of being friends for 49 years.
Wow, I actually love the panel, the sprinkler. There's a lot of really great movement in it. Thank you for sharing. It's great.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Alyssa. I'm from New York, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. So I drew my version of the Met, which is where I went, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is where I went a lot in high school. The place for the first panel, the first place that I chose was the music room. The Met has a great collection of instruments, and I like that nothing is too weird there. The second panel, we have the rooftop, which is open in the summer. And we have somebody buying an overpriced cup of coffee to take a photo for their Instagram, and a reference to this hideously ugly, like comically tall building that stands out even among New York City skyscrapers. I kind of missed the third panel, sorry. So
that's okay.
It's blank, but wrote no negative spaces because that's the way I feel about the museum. And for the fourth panel, we have the Met Gala. This is Beyonce saying she woke up like this, wearing a gown with a train. We have paparazzi. We have Anna Wintour saying that she's wearing Prada. And also somebody trying to sneak in saying that they're on the list. And the caption is, it's the Met's a place where you can be art. Then have a reference to one of my favorite books from the mixed up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. where two kids run away from Westchester and live in the Met for 2 weeks. They talk about the Temple of Dandor, which is where this is. And we have which I'd say is like the window. There's like some pretty unique paneling, or I don't know what to call it, but the windows are pretty unique if you've never been there. And that's what they look like, just like a grid on the glass. And finally, for how it makes me feel, or this is me. And I think that when I'm at the Met, I really feel connected to just all of humanity. I think that, people throughout history and geography have had these incredible lives, and we have these artifacts in the same, like a single building. And it just reminds me that there's more than one way to live, which was something that I really needed to feel in high school when I first started going there. So that's it. That's my Met. And thank you to everybody for listening.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, and makes me miss going to museums. And I also love a building popping out of the comic panel. That's a really great idea. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. I don't know if you can see me. It's kind of difficult because okay, I'll try to share it, turning my tablet, but I can't see what I'm sharing because it's connected to the TV, to the computer. But I drew the shared space on my college. It's a vertical building, but there's this really awesome place in the third the third floor, and then there's this like little trees, and it's really nice to be at this little sitting space. And I should go there a lot between classes and after classes. Then I drew myself sitting there and feeling hungry because I'm smelling the food from the student restaurant, and thinking if I'm going to lunch. And then my friend arrives, and she used to dress really fancy because she started an internship.
If you lift it up a little higher, I feel like I'm missing it. Or a little lower.
You can see it now? Okay.
A little lower.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I just want to make sure everyone sees it.
And then we talked about when we started college, and we brought some beverage with glasses. I don't know, the glass containers, and it was prohibited, but we like young and wanted to to break some rules. And then this one friend, she broke the glass, and we got like really scared we were gonna get caught. And it was really fun. And then I drew myself lying down on the table, because I should do that a lot when it was empty. And that's it. I hope you could see it. I couldn't.
Yes. Thank you so much. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. It was excellent. A lot of fun. I picked the Hill Country, the Texas Hill Country, which is the area north of San Antonio and kind of southwest of Austin. And it looks like that. And that's the roads that are cut through it. And that's my car window letting the dry, hot air in. And for the thing, I drew a branch of a scrub oak with some ball moss on it and some lichen zoom-ins. And a person that you might see, I drew my grandma, who's passed for several years now, but I drew on a rocking chair, sitting and rocking on a porch. And then I remember being in the hill country and dancing under a bunch of lights and stepping on a woman's toes accidentally, who's standing there with her arms on her side. And I'm saying sorry because I led my dancing partner into their feet. And then I drew myself on the hills, which I don't actually ever get up to, the really nice hills, because you're always in the car and not on the hills themselves.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's beautiful. There's a nice symmetry there between the first and the last panel. So really like that. Thank you.
Hi, I came late because of work. I just got off, but so I was a little confused and didn't realize it was panels at first.
Okay.
So this kind of big one is oh geez, maybe I should turn my background off. Sorry, hang on.
That's okay. That's happened to
Someone
me
else can go
before.
first. Oh, I think I fixed it. Yeah, so it's my grandpa's old apartment in Hong Kong. And it had like the big fish tank in the back and like a big table because all my aunts and uncles, most of my family lives there. And then the smell one, sort of in the same thing because I didn't realize yet. So I drew like the different veggies and stuff coming out of the soup and like an oxtail bone because for the sometimes meat, and then like fire and like a fish from the kitchen because of all the cooking and so and everything. And then there was a shrine to my grandma. So like the plate of oranges and incense smell coming from that, even though like it wasn't really that smoky in the apartment or anything. And for third, something to touch, I did a dragon fruit, cutting it open, but I realized it looks like my hand is bloody. So I clarified in the caption, my handwriting's pretty bad. And then third panel, both my parents' family are from there, and my grandpa, that was on my dad's side, but my dad passed a couple years ago, so I sort of skipped that one.
That's okay.
And then fifth is, it's kind of hard to tell because I drew it too small, but it's split. And the first is me reaching out of the window. There's windows that sort of swung inwards to open, but there's crossbars over a lot of the windows there because it's all high rises. This apartment was on the 19th floor. And then this panel here is my hand sticking out and like the view downward. I put a couple like cars in the parking lot and people and stuff. And then last one was, I visited a few times as a teenager, and I'm not that tall, but like I like always looking at yourself in the mirror, you know, like, oh, like, does my hair look okay or whatever. And just this dark part is actually in the bathroom. There was a window and you could open it for air, but it looked into the interior, like the middle of the apartment building, like a big dark like shaft all the way down, just like an open space in the middle. So like kind of the ominous black part. Yeah, thank you very much. I think this is really cool to do.
Thank you. I feel like I'm really blown away by what everyone has done tonight. And if for some reason you didn't get a chance to share, you can share online and tag The Believer or tag myself. Or even if you do get to share, I'd love to just see them all again. This has really been amazing to see all of your work. And I hope you all continue to move forward with it.
Thank you, Jett. Let's give Jett a hand, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That
was
so
great.
cool.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. So fun.
Fun.
Bye.